This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN.Network. And joining me right now is Cameron Groome. He is the president and CEO of Microbix Biosystems. It's a publicly traded company. The symbols are MBX on the TSX and MBXBF on the OTCQX. With that, Cameron, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Great, thanks. It's a pleasure, Robert. Thanks for having me and Microbix on.
It's great to have you. So last time we did an interview together, we published that on, I believe, February 24th, 2021. So let's get an update. What would you say are some of the company's highlights since then?
Wow. Well, it's been a while then. Many things have happened. We grew revenues in fiscal 21 close to 80% in our operating businesses, which of course, we're a it's tough to summarize a scientific business quickly, but I'll try to do so in that we're a creator, manufacturer, and marketer of innovative biological products that support the global diagnostics industry. These are referring to infectious disease diagnostics. And we have, well north of 100 different customers in companies that make infectious disease diagnostic tests, clinical laboratories that run them, and actually the agencies that do the testing and accreditation of the labs. So we're very much, up and down the line. Of course, not just COVID, far more broad than that. But this is an area where biovigilance and effective diagnosis has never been more important. And we're seeing a number of long-held plans of ours come to fruition as a result of being able to be nimble and responsive to the industry's needs.
So, Cameron, you mentioned at the opening that, in fiscal 21, you saw an 80% revenue growth. I'd love to hear some reasons why. What were some of the reasons why you achieved that number?
Great question. Historically, our business had been about 90% in test ingredients. So these are highly purified and inactivated viruses and bacteria that we grow in our facilities, and those form the biological material at the heart of different companies' infectious disease tests of a category called immunoassays. That area of our business actually faced pressure due to COVID, as many patients didn't see doctors and many doctors didn't see patients. So more conventional testing, the volumes fell off. Where we derive benefits were in two areas. One, we're in creating and broadening a suite of products for controls for assessing whether tests are actually working. The only thing worse than not having testing is having tests that actually steer you in the wrong direction. So what we create are products, and they look, some of them are like this, you can see on the virtual background, but this is actually a swab-based control that to a test for COVID, for example, can look just like Omicron, for example, and we can thereby ensure that a test is actually working and that a negative result is a true negative and a positive result is a true positive. So this has been an area of big growth for us. We grew sales of that category of product to 3 times their prior level in 2021 fiscal. And another thing we recognized was the whole fragility of the supply chain and the criticality of different materials. So we used our expertise to create the only meaningful domestic supply of a product called viral transport medium. And if you see when somebody snaps off a swab of patient sample and puts it in a tube of stuff to stabilize it so it can be tested later in the lab, we're the ones making the tubes of stuff. So nobody in Canada was producing material, and nobody had been qualified to be a supplier to the province of Ontario. So we stepped in, volunteered in 2020. We commissioned supply in 2021 and scaled it to industrial quantities, and were able to step into a very material gap in the supply chain for Ontario public health. So those two categories, our controls business and our collection device viral transport medium, led to the big growth we saw in 21 over 20 and are leading to the great growth we're seeing in 2022 as well.
So Cameron, explain to us a little bit about the moat here. Why can't anybody who realizes, hey, they're going to need the materials, hey, they're going to need to transport, what's stopping just any Tom, Dick, and Harry from saying, hey, oh, I can solve this in Iowa, let me just go do this.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Part of this, these are regulated medical devices, and you can't just go in and start making it in your bathtub. You can, and you'll eventually be charged, but you can go about doing that. But it's really about understanding the quality of the product and being able to make it consistently so that each batch is exactly reproducible and the quality and the performance of the product is there. And never more critical than when you're actually making controls that you're going to use to assess whether a test works. You need to make damn sure the control works. And likewise on the viral transport medium, this is not something you want to find out that potentially you screwed up tens of thousands of test results, and it happens. There was a case in the UK last year where a lab that had done somewhere in the order of 500,000 tests did not have a proper quality system in place, evidently, and discovered belatedly that they told somewhere between 40 and 50,000 people that no, you don't have COVID when they actually did. So those people might have gone back to work in a hospital or a long-term care home. They might have gone to see relatives with health problems that were at risk. These are the kind of catastrophic outcomes that we help the industry to avoid.
So to close us out here, Cameron, from what you can tell us, what can our audience and investors in general who are following or looking to discover Microbix, what can they expect going in now for the rest of 2022?
Well, from an investor point of view, obviously consult your investment advisor. What's appropriate. We're not giving that advice, but I can tell you that what we're seeing is an age where heightened biovigilance and heightened capability for testing is very much in the here and now. And in 2021, you might have gone to the doctor to get tested for COVID. In 2022, if you've got a respiratory infection, they're going to have a test that at a minimum is going to be able to say whether it's influenza or flu A or flu B or COVID or RSV, and potentially a catalog of other viruses that to examine. And the same thing with, potentially hospital-acquired infections, where they'll be able to tell not only what kind of bug it is, but what antibiotics it's still susceptible to. So we're getting into this much greater sophistication of the diagnostic testing, which is going to improve all of our healthcare. And we're very well poised as a company to support the industry in that sort of evolution. So rather than betting on one company and saying, well, is company A's test going to dominate, or companies B's test, or C or D, E, F, etc., Microbix is supporting all of these companies. So if you believe, as we do, that infectious disease diagnostics are continue to play a pivotal role in healthcare, and really where the rubber meets the road in healthcare, in fact, Microbix is a very well-positioned company to benefit from the increasing availability of testing and the increasing sophistication of that testing.
Very good. Well, Cameron, with that, where can our audience go and find more information on Microbix?
Well, we're just within a few weeks of launching a funky new website, but the old tried and true one is available at https://microbix.com. A lot of information about us. We are a public issuer in in Ontario and listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. So our disclosures are also available on SEDAR, SEDAR.com. And, we're traded on the OTCQX system as well. So US investors can also access Microbix, as can Canadian investors, MBX on Toronto.
Very good. All right, Cameron, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Good luck, stay safe, and I look forward to our next update.
Thank you so much, Robert. Real pleasure. Take care.
Thank you.